following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and tonight we have a very special guest. Mr. Perry Yang is in the building. How you doing, man?
Good to be here. Haven't seen you in a minute, and yeah, it's really surreal to, be able to talk to you and do this as the first thing we do, seeing each other for the first time in a while. So this is really exciting.
Dude, I want to thank you again for making time for this. For the folks out there who don't know, Perry's probably one of my first best friends I've ever had in my life back in the day. Did all the good fun stuff. Dirt clogs. I know a lot of y'all know what it's like throwing dirt clogs around, but this was a dude, we'd have them battles in his backyard. So yeah, man, welcome to the show, and I think it's gonna be fun.
I'm excited, man.
For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions, some warm-up questions just to set the tone. Then afterwards, we'll jump into the main interview where we'll choose some numbers, we'll spin the wheel, and then after that, we will get into some closeout questions. Sound good to you, Perry?
Sounds wonderful.
All right, man. My very first question for you is, how have you been? These past 2 years and years coming up are going to be a little crazy. How you been navigating? Been doing great, doing well? How you been lately?
Well, I got an interesting one. So I moved to New York maybe 3 years ago. I lived in Santa Barbara probably for the last 10. I went to school there, and then it was a very comfortable, I found a job there, a startup, and just stuck around there for a while because it was really nice and easy. And then after a while, I realized, it's starting to get really stagnant. You're doing the same thing every day, and it's such a small town, so you just want to go do something new. And so I decided, hey, just pack your bags, go to New York. Got a buddy of mine here who works with me, so he said, come on out. So I came out for a year, and right after a year, go to the bar every day and, live in East Village and do the debaucherous stuff. Met a girl, COVID hit, so I moved in with her 6 months in, mostly because I was living in a kind of just like a first story room, I would say, in East Village. So there was no place to work, so we just moved in together, and it's been 2.5 years now, and I just acquired a ring. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
Dude, are you saying this on the show before you even popped the question?
Well, I mean, she went with me, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you had copped it, and then she didn't know yet, and she's gonna listen to this.
We went together, but I haven't. She just knows we bought it together, but she doesn't know when it's getting picked up or where it's gonna happen.
Ooh,
so,
that's exciting. Yeah. That's exciting for you.
Keeping that, for the next time I do this or something.
No doubt. I mean, you don't got to give me any details, but you thinking you're going to go simple or, a little more extravagant?
Very simple. Yeah. Very simple. Yeah.
Everybody likes different
honestly,
things.
Okay, she's in the other room, but it's going to be in Canada. We're going to do it in Canada. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You want me to cut this out?
No, it's fine.
All right. All right, for sure.
I'll just show her the last bits when she watches this.
I gotcha. Show her the highlights,
Yeah, just the highlight reel, exactly.
That's sick, man. Well, congrats. That sounds exciting. And yeah, man, that's crazy. I've been with my girl for 3-4 years now. And yeah, it's I don't know how it is for everybody, but you definitely gotta to take those next steps, you gotta feel ready. So definitely happy that you're feeling ready, man. That's we were talking about how this is surreal, and we knew each other in our past lives. You about to start a whole brand new life. So yeah, man.
Did the Rona affect you guys in I wouldn't say positive way, but did it bring you closer, or did you have to push yourself a little harder to keep the relationship going, obviously with quarantine happening?
So the interesting thing between me and her is that it's not really long distance. I don't think you'd consider if it's from SF to San Jose. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like we were still able to kind of like do our thing as far as seeing each other on the weekends and like doing trips and going out like how we normally did. It did bring us closer in the sense of like how, I felt like mentally, emotionally, for a lot of folks it was, pretty draining, and we had to lean on each other a lot more. So I think in that way it helped strengthen our relationship. So yeah. Oh, damn, man, you just made me reflect on that shit. And when she hears this, she's gonna have something to say. I know it. But let's move on to some warm-up questions. The first question for you is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
I don't know. That's a very tough question, because you think about all like honestly, if I were to break it down, just 3 minor facts. I am very heavy in my passion for, I guess, automation. I work in engineering, and I'm a huge fan of just making things more optimized. I'm an avid Lakers fan, and I do mixed martial arts. Probably the easiest 3 things I would just describe.
For sure. I know we got a game going on in like an hour and a half, right? Or hour 15 right now. I don't know if you're gonna be staying up for that. Lakers Warriors are opening the season in an hour or so.
I might. Yeah.
But damn, man, for sure. Automation. You in the industry, you making it happen. I just worked for, what's it called? A few months ago for what's Transdev. They are contracted with Waymo. I don't know if
oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was behind.
I've heard Waymo.
I was behind the wheel in those vehicles, man. And I can't mention nothing because I signed those paperwork. But it was definitely it was an experience, and I know it's right there around the corner. And I mean, for you, someone in the industry, like how far along do you think it is before we start, it just becomes a part of our lives, like all this automated stuff happening?
Honestly, pretty soon. There's this book, it's called, I think, something, The Age of Singularity, where how soon the computers will be smarter than humans. And it's assuming in the next like 15 years, you can create AI to a point where it will think, it'll be at the same level of human intelligence, which is a little scary. But I was reading, so I was thinking about this. I was reading the blurb about this podcast or this video, and it's about leaving a digital footprint for what the new generations are going to come. And I was thinking about this, and I heard this also from Joe Rogan. It's like, the ancient Egyptians and the Romans, they had hieroglyphics. They carved a lot of stuff into stone, right? And from now, we know what people thousands and thousands of years did. We know China or parts of Asia has over 5,000 years of history. But because everything's digitized now, I wonder if, for example, there was some global apocalypse like what happened with the dinosaurs, the next people who would start, or the next humanoids that would see the past, would probably go back. There would be like a few thousand years gap. Would you think?
Yeah,
I wonder.
I mean, honestly, I wonder too. And I don't know if you ever heard that like theory of like we weren't the first humans out here. Like even before the dinosaurs, there were still civilizations. And I think they're trying to dig up stuff, trying to connect these dots that kind of prove that. But yeah, I think like you could tell me about this theory. So Ice Age was an ice age that was like for parts of the world, right? So we had these civilizations. Ice Age came in, killed off a bunch of countries, and but there were some countries that survived, or like were in the hotter part of the earth at the time. So their civilization, their teachings, all these things were able to continue on. And so like I don't know, man, like I think in my mind, I think China is one of those countries that their history like has gone back way back, and you know, we still have those like that proof that it feels like their history was around a lot longer than everybody else's.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right. So yeah,
it's just what we haven't found yet. You know, we're basing history on what we have found, right? So it's who knows?
And I mean, this podcast, like when you mentioned that blurb, that's what it really is, man. It's like, I don't know if you ever read those books written by, you know, 400, 300 years ago, but like, it's the same dude. It's a dude complaining about how some guy is trying to holler at his wife, you know, like it's a very, you know, relatable situation that happens to us all the time. So having these conversations, I would like the free you to know, like, I don't know what your problems are going to look like, but I think there's some similarities through generations, just because we're human, we're people. So I hope it gets to that point. Who knows if you're watching this 1,000 years from now?
Yeah, you know, we've discussed our fears and hopes right here.
Right here.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And martial arts, which one you get into? All of them?
I did Muay Thai first, and then got really into boxing in the last 5-6 years. And then when I started boxing, I also did Jiu Jitsu. So that's where it came together. And then I was preparing for my first like boxing match. So I was like in the middle cutting weight. I was on the elliptical, and they said they said everything's closing down on March 18th. I was like, fuck.
Damn.
So that was, yeah. So now I'm 31. You're my age, and I'm turning 32 next year in August. So I feel like that part has passed me by.
Not even just one fight, man. Like, you know, just
I might do an amateurs, but it might be in Muay Thai. It might be in So we'll see.
No more rumbling on the ground with Jiu Jitsu. Yeah,
no, it's too much.
I feel you.
Jiu Jitsu might be an old man's game for me. Like I'll get older, and then I'll need something I can't keep getting hit in the head, or you know, move around the same way I used to. So once you feel it in your bones.
Oh, dude, I took a jiu-jitsu class because a homie at work was like, "Oh, just do it with me." I'm like, "All right." So I went and I tried it, and yeah, I was hurting, dog. I was hurting the next day. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I get it. It was my first time, and maybe I need to practice and, you know, get some more reps in. But yeah, it was like, I don't think jiu-jitsu is for me. But I've been thinking about it. Martial arts.
Yeah, it works different parts of your muscles that you didn't really realize needed stress. Like there would be some, you know, we would go and, you know, we'd be rolling with some tiny girls, and they are ridiculously strong. And it's just because they've been working those muscles for a long time. And for me, it's like I can use brute strength and move them around, but in terms of them like getting a hold and transitioning into, you know, different movements, it's all practice and crazy like tensile strength. I think.
Yeah. I was a one-hit wonder with jiu-jitsu. But sorry, man, gotta get you to the second question right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it is, if I were to do something in your honor, like a way to express your energy, what could I do?
Give your parents a hug for me.
Sure.
Yeah, I honestly, if we're expanding on the question a little bit, for those who don't know out there, like Jen and I were very, very close friends back then, and I've spent so many hours at your house because your parents were like a second parent to me. You know, your dad, I remember sitting in the back of you had the truck that had the bed, right? So we would sit in the back of that, and your dad would drive us to all the basketball games. And your mom, I remember this, she came out one day and she gave both me and you like 2 packs of Pokemon cards. I remember this. So, and for me, I know how much that shit costs. And we both, I'm sure you know my parents too, and I know your parents. We both all grew up from very humble beginnings, and that shit was not cheap. And for her to treat me like a member of the family, for your parents to treat me like a member of your family, and we would just sit down, and they made me such amazing food. Like, they played a huge role in my life growing up. And if you wanted to represent me or do something for me, go appreciate your parents on my behalf, because I would love that.
Damn, bro, man. Like, you make, like, I can't wait for my parents to hear this shit, because you
Plus,
already making.
I'm pretty sure you remember when we were little, we somersaulted on that waterbed. So,
dude, the waterbed. I was the only kid with a waterbed. But yeah, nah. What's it called? What else did we do, man? You remember the Sonic the Hedgehog comics? We used to fucking.
Oh yeah. We used to draw that for Miss Hoya. They're great.
Yeah, man.
We gave her all of those comics. I hope she's doing well.
Oh,
I wonder how Miss Hoya's doing, but I hope if she sees this, Miss Hoya, we miss you.
We miss you, Miss Hoya. You should. Oh, I hope I get a chance to interview too at someday. Man, memories, bro. Memories. I got you. And like, now that I know, I'm gonna make sure to hug my parents, to spread your energy, bro. So definitely appreciate the kind words. I know my folks will too. I honestly, I think it's gonna be unexpected for them. I don't know if you ever got that, like when you work with any kind of youth or maybe younger relatives, and like you just don't know what impact you're making on them until later on they'll be like, oh, what the fuck, you were a huge part of my life. Like, what? So.
Also, I feel like your parents don't age, because I think I saw a picture of you and your folks more recently, and like your mom looks exactly the same. It's like she didn't age.
Oh man, you just went in.
Your dad just got skinnier. It's like,
For sure, man. For sure. I can't wait for them to hear that. But last question for you in the warm up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
I'd say now it'd be like a 8.59. It took a long time. It probably 26 through 28 was like the big F up years. Usually the catalyst being like a major breakup, or you find a little bit of yourself every time. I feel like in a lot of relationships, whether it's with friends or with significant others. And then I feel like now I know myself well enough to know that I'm still gonna always be immature and kind of like a freaking 10-year-old in a 30-year-old body, but I just know moments to be mature. I don't think my thoughts have really matured as much. I just choose better moments to show ounces of, clarity and maturity and decisiveness.
I hear you, man. I hear you. You heard that thing about how Gen Z looks at millennials like they're redefining what 30s and 40s look like? Because a lot of us are just, big kids that are older, which is interesting. I work with the youth, and I'm sure the kids I work with see me as like just a big kid in a lot of ways. I can't help myself. That's just who I am. But I think I'm not alone in that sense. Like, I think we definitely know when to turn it on, as far as we gotta like be adults. We gotta be adulting. Like, we came up with the term adulting because we didn't feel like we were adults enough.
I'll tell you this one really made me feel it. So let's see, are you a beer drinker? Do you like beer?
I'm more of a smoker than a drinker, but
okay.
Yeah, I do drink, and as I've gotten older, I've started to acquire the taste. So I don't know, maybe it's changing.
It definitely is an acquired taste, but like I went to a park thing recently with my friend who's my age and his little brother who's like 22, and it was all of his friends. So we're by far the oldest by 8 to 10 years. So we're sitting there and we decide, you show up at a party, you bring a couple of really nice, things. So we brought like a pack of IPAs, like good IPAs, and we're sitting there just, hey guys, what's going on? And they came over and like, hey, do you want to drink? And it's like, sure. And they pulled a Truly out of their freaking cargo pants and handed it to me. I was sitting there just flabbergasted for a minute. And then they're like, hey, what's that? Is that a beer? Like, can I try that? So they tried the IPAs, and then later on in the middle of the party, I was going around looking at these cans and I was picking them up. and it was 85%, 90 left over. So I was going through and drinking everybody else's beers because it was
Good. It was good
expensive
beer.
beers.
Yeah.
Man. You can't leave that stuff hanging around.
Can you name drop that IPA?
I forgot. It's a local brand here. It's oh crap. Now that I'm on camera, my brain has.
Don't worry about it. I was just trying
moving.
I was trying to slip.
It's a local brewery here.
All right, for sure. I was gonna be like, after you said it, like, sponsor us. You know, that's that's a running gag anytime someone drops a name brand. But I got you. Well, you said 8.5.
Heineken, sponsor us.
You said 8.59.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite thing about your personality?
I think it took me a long time to do this, but I am both. I think the two things I've really learned is, are you familiar with Jordan Peterson, by the way?
I am familiar with Jordan Peterson.
How do you feel about that guy?
I'm cool with him, man. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people got their, arguments against him, but hey, I just hear a guy who, as much as I've heard, sort of spitting facts. So, like, go ahead. Well, how you feel about him?
So I mean, I try to glean what I think are the important things to do, and I think the things that I've learned, especially now that I'm older, is like be very decisive with your speech. I used to say a lot of things where I would say it and maybe not mean it as much, or I would say it for the sake of saying it without really thinking about the repercussions of the impact of the words I would say. So that's one thing I feel like, knowing myself now, I know to be way more decisive in my words. And I know to, I guess, and I heard this at a talk, it's like, be normal in the sense of live in the realm of normalcy while keeping in the foot in the realm of chaos. And I feel like I need to live that way because, just keep a little spice in your life, basically, is what I try to, know myself as, or try to bring onto my life.
So when you say spice, is it like percentage-wise between chaos and normalcy? Like, how much leeway are you giving yourself? Like, is it 10% chaos or 15?
Like 80-20.
80-20? All right, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, man. What you're mentioning reminds me of what, like, I guess my personal thing is like, I'm all about balance. Whatever that balance looks like. If it's 80-20 for you, I don't know if it's, I don't know what my percentages are. You just made me kind of think about, like, how much do I like that chaos versus normalcy. But yeah, like, whatever that balance is, I think that's what people need to find to really, like, for them, feel a fulfilled life. And I'm glad you're aware of that for yourself. And yeah, it's a peaceful moment a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same thing as spending money now. I realize if it's like a radio knob, right, or a volume knob, if I really like something, I'm going to turn the knob on high, versus if I'm like meh on it or I'm not really feeling on it, I'm just going to turn the knob on low. Mm-hmm. There's no point in wasting your time and energy on something that you're very mediocre on, or how you feel not so strongly about, but you just keep it around. And I feel like that's how I treat how I approach meeting friends or meeting people I want to associate with, or attacking a new task. Is this thing worth my time? And I've started to realize as I get older that time is the most important currency that we have. And, as it runs out. So.
Yeah. No, I got you. Well, all right, man, we made it to the main interview portion, where you either choose your numbers or we turn to the wheel. Before we get there, though, I'm very, very curious about how you would answer this next question, which is, do you think it's been easier to make friends as a kid versus an adult?
Yeah, totally.
Tell me
because as a kid, you make friends purely because of one of them. So if I were to break it down now, I think we make friends for a variety of reasons, right? And I think I could break it down into how I would look at making friends, right? You make friends because A, you just purely enjoy being with somebody. They make you happy. B, they make a good business partner. Or C, you can learn something from them. It's one of the three reasons, or all three. It could be all three. But when you're a kid, you just want to be friends because you like this person. It doesn't matter if this person has any, like, poor, rich, like, we didn't understand any of that, right? Like my folks were janitors, you know, they had 3 jobs and all that stuff, and we were friends. Like, you didn't consider what my parents did. You didn't consider how big our house was, or those are not things that went into consideration. We just liked throwing dirt at each other and watching Power Rangers and eating, you know,
Cereals.
So,
yeah.
And like, I remember my mom was like, "Oh, you had really good penmanship." I remember this when when we were young. You had excellent penmanship. and my mom was like, "Look at Jan's penmanship. Look at his. Why is his so good? Why is yours so tiny chicken scratch and like in the writing up and to the right? Why don't you follow the lines?" And ever since then, I wrote bigger letters because of you, actually, because I really like the way you wrote your letters, and so I actually wrote larger in size because I really like the way you wrote.
That's
to
crazy.
This day I still write like that because of your impact. Just a little tidbit for you,
dude. That's crazy. I mean, I'm sorry that like you had to feel that comparison, right? Like, I think, at least, I don't know for you, but I always feel like that's the tough thing about being a parent, that there's always seems to be comparisons with friends or whoever's around. Not saying it affected you in a negative way, but if it ever made you feel like in a bad way, my bad. Like,
not at all. Not at all. It's good to recognize at a young, like, what's good and what, you know, what's really cool. I really liked it, not because my mom said it, because I thought it looked good too. You know?
Yeah, man. I mean,
this looks excellent. I need to copy this.
I do get complimented on the handwriting, and I'll tell you why I think it became so good. Because my mom, like, at a certain point when I got old enough, I would say 7-ish, like, my parents stopped, you know, using the belt or something on me, but they eventually told me to write lines. So every time I did something wrong, it'd be like, write this phrase 200 times, and like, you know, so my penmanship got hella good because I was just doing that, like, as a punishment. So
we were troublemakers in school, so I can tell you probably wrote a lot.
at home for sure. I was it was more so at home. But yeah, that's funny, man. And thank you for your breakdown. I think that's totally relatable for a lot of folks. You know, for me, I try to still exude that energy of not caring, you know, and trying to meet people at where they are, which, I don't know, man. Like, I feel you in the sense that there's some people who don't like that, or, you know, because I'm not, honestly, you know, like, I'm not a successful person that most people would deem. I feel like I'm successful, but, you know, if I was gonna put myself in the race and try to compare myself with others, I'm pretty, like, far behind people. So it's funny to me when I feel like there's people who are ahead of me in that race, kind of like try to figure out who I am in the beginning, and then it's like, okay, like, this guy's not a threat, or there's not something I could get from him, and see how those conversations, like, kind of disappear, versus meeting people who I think are on the same page as me, maybe in the same place in the race, and, you know, we vibe more, or like there's more we're talking about. So yeah. I can definitely recognize when it happens, but for sure.
I mean, sometimes it just feels good being around someone. Like, I mean, I was honestly very nervous, if we're being honest, like, seeing an old friend that I haven't seen in maybe 20 plus years, on Zoom, no less, you know. And I had some trepidation because I didn't know how it's going to turn out. Was it going to be awkward? Was it going to be, you know, but honestly, so far, we're like 40 minutes in. It's felt like I saw you yesterday. It really has. And I'm not just saying this for the camera. It really feels like we didn't skip a beat. And just because we had that foundation of just, we enjoyed each other's company, truly, and unadulterated, right? It was just, I liked you as a person. And plus, we showered together as kids.
That happened too. We were trying to save money, bro.
Yeah, I know. I know. We had 2 cups just covering our privates, just like lathering ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If that's not family, I don't know what is. You feel me? But
it's the deepest form of family, really.
For sure. But nah, man, I think I feel the same way. You know, we just picking up where we left off, and I don't know, like, um, I'm glad. I'm glad you're not feeling nervous no more. But how did you think this might have like went? You know? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that's why I said yes to this. You know, it would have been really easy to just put it off, and you know, especially the first thing being, hey, let's do a video, or let's do a podcast or a talk, right? Versus, hey, let's catch up first. Let's do, you know, and hey, look, toe in the realm of chaos, right? Keep a foot in the realm of chaos. So it's, you know, keep it exciting. And honestly, it's only ended well. I mean, it feels great right now. And I would assume this is going to be the catalyst for when I go back to San Francisco, and I'm going to go drive down and see your folks, you know, see you and your folks.
For sure, man. For sure. Okay. All right. Well, would you like to choose your number first before we head to the wheel?
Yes. I mean, I you know, RIP Kobe, 24. 24.
So a couple reminders. There's an easy, medium, hard to every number. And if there's a question that you don't want to answer, feel free to pass. But yeah, easy, medium, or hard.
Hard.
Oh, 24 hard. All right, let's do this.
Okay, if it's like a math question or something, or if it's like a deep personal question, what's the rating of hard? What is the subjective rating for hard here?
So hard is very introspective, and I always think, like, I always try to brace my guests for hard questions and let them know, like, all right, this one's gonna be extremely hard. But some people, I remember I was on someone else's podcast and they were like, what's the most invasive question that you ask on your podcast? And I'm like, damn, invasive? I don't want to kill them off that way, but it was like,
shoot it to me. Give me the most invasive question.
Well, the question I had for that I brought up was, what would you self-diagnose yourself with? You know, like how everyone's always like, oh, this, I either am suffering from this, or I'm OCD, or, you know, any of those things. Is there anything that you self-diagnose yourself, or you would? I think
I personally, honestly, I want to get to the other question too, you know, the actual question that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If I were to self-diagnose myself, I would say two things. One, I probably have a bunch of ADD, and maybe people see this, and I haven't been diagnosed for it by a doctor, but I think I'm very good at hyper-focusing on one thing, but then I also, in the middle of hyper-focusing, will jump to a bunch of different random topics if bothered. So if someone comes up to me and says something, I would immediately hyper-focus on that topic and away from what I have in mind, versus some people are very good at shifting back to the thing at hand. The other thing is, I honestly think for many years I was very not confident in my skills, which is maybe why I stuck at a company for 7-8 years. Was it a good idea? Yes, it is, because the company turned out well. But at the same time, a reason why I didn't look to interview elsewhere is because I was very not confident in my skills as an engineer. And so I didn't want to go take tests at other places because I didn't want people to see my inadequacy. Or in case there was inadequacy shown, I didn't want people to see it. And it really did take having to go on multiple interviews for me to finally gain that confidence. But I had that for like 8-9 years. So, but I think personally I'm pretty shy and all of those things, that like maybe self-confidence is still something I'd work towards to, you know, better myself at.
I feel you, man. I think I feel like I struggle with self-confidence all the time. Like, I remember when I was trying to be a photographer for a little while, or when I tried to do a clothing brand for a little bit. And I don't know if you remember, maybe it was after you had moved schools, but I was going to be a rapper for the longest part of my life.
Hey, I followed your music. I mean, that was, you put yourself out there, especially because you're putting art out there. It's very subjective. People love it or hate it, right? So, you know, when you put out a piece of your soul out there and given the opportunity for audiences to weigh in on, you have to really, you know, be ready for it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where like I never promoted myself because I never thought I was like, I feel like a big part of rap too is, you know, having to say you're the best and why people should listen to you. And I wasn't that guy. I was not that dude. So, you know, I had to switch lanes, and then becoming or trying to do the clothing brand and photography stuff. It's also about selling myself or selling like this idea, which I didn't like either. And then coming to this though, like the podcast, I feel like this has given me the most solid like confidence in myself, because I can feel really comfortable saying it's not about me, and all those other things felt like it was about me, and that's what made me kind of like second guess it, not feel comfortable with my abilities. But here it's like I'm doing it for everybody else, and that kind of helps too. As far as ADD or ADHD, like how do I bring that up to my doctor? Like, hey doc, I feel like I can't focus on things. Is there a test I can do to figure this out? But then, you know, after that, does that mean I have to take meds for this? What is life going to kind of look like, you know, if I am medicated and it actually is something I'm dealing with, and I don't want to recognize it or don't want to like ask my doctor about it. Very interesting stuff, man. I think we're all kind of going through it. It's like this shared experience for millennials right now. So
yeah,
any millennials
really
out
there? Very interesting.
That's what we should talk about this more.
Yeah.
Thank you for opening up, man. And
God, if we had like 3 hours, we can keep this going. But I know, you know, we're trying to keep it down. So, but anytime we want to do this again, we'll have a lot to talk about. I'm
not Rogan yet, but when I am and have a studio, then definitely we'll do some 3 hour long conversations.
Yeah, we'll have some fun.
Well, number 24, hard, was.
Yeah, let's go.
Where do you belong?
Give me a sec. Let me think about this.
Yeah,
Where
man.
do I belong?
Yeah, take a second.
Now, it's interesting because I think there's a goal of, I think when you hear a question like this, there's a pressure to feel introspective in terms of, I need to say something very profound. But honestly, if just thinking on a very simplistic point of view, I personally just really like small spaces, and by that I mean very, like I'm a small town guy for some reason. Like I that's why I stayed in Santa Barbara for so long. I like the notion of going to my diner. I find something eerily romantic about it. Just going to my local diner and, you know, knowing the waiters' names, and they you know, they know I can say the usual. I've always wanted a usual. That's just been my thing. And that's, funny enough, New York City, like you would think it's so big, but the boroughs that you live in, you know, I know all my local butchers. I know the deli guy, because that's, you know, you need a deli guy for all those people who go to New York City. You need a deli guy because when you get out here and you're drunk at 3 a.m, you need someone to make you a bacon, egg, and cheese at 3 a.m. So know your deli guy. And I think it's just, I like these smaller communities because it makes me feel I don't know, involved. Yeah. Warm. It makes you feel, you know, when people use the word neighborly, you actually feel it in these small places, right? And I feel very, I would say, alone. San Francisco is where I grew up. You know, San Francisco is where I grew up, but it's probably the place I know the least. Because I don't think I really found myself there. It's so big. It's too vast for me to really think about. And I think it's things where I have to drive to people. I like places where I can walk, which is probably why Rome is like my favorite place in the world. If I could live anywhere, I'd live in Rome, because I find there's something very, once again, using the word romantic, about the cobblestone floors and you know, these small little like diners or these little shops, and you get to know the people, and it's I think that's where I belong. Anywhere that I feel is where I can be a part of the community. I think that's a big word, community, you know.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Well, I didn't really think I'd dive into that as much. Wow, I really had to think about that one.
That's great, man. Thank you for sharing that perspective. I think, well, I'll tell you, man, I think that's why we vibe even since kids, because even like to this day, that's how I kind of feel about it. I always imagine what it would have been like to be from a small town where I had a usual, or, you know, I mean, we went to a small school. St. Finbar was super small already, so that community was kind of there. And like even my high school, I don't know if you know ISA, International Studies Academy.
Yeah.
I went there, which only had 400 kids in the whole building, so that was super small. And then I went to CSULB down in Long Beach, and my whole world was kind of like expanded, like even crazy.
Right.
And I did feel that, like, damn, like where's that feeling of I know everybody, or, you know, I say what's up to everybody, and here it was just like, nah, you're just another face in the crowd kind of thing, which honestly made me grow closer and bond stronger with the people that I did know. Like the college roommates I met, we ended up living together all 5 years of college. You know, it wasn't like we had to switch it up or anything. So that happened. I think there's good positives and bad, but yeah. So even now, when I think about where I want to go, where do I want to like settle my roots, it is a small town, and like I want to be able to, I don't know, man, like run for local government and try to make a change locally instead of like something big, you know, just
My vote, man.
What's up?
You got my vote.
Right on, man, right on. I'll have you do a testimonial when I'm running. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to feel that way, and I wonder how many folks feel that way. Like I feel like people who are from small towns end up feeling like, oh, I want to come into a bigger city, and like it's a switch almost. Did you have a usual in Santa Barbara? Like where would you go?
I did. I went always with my buddy to this local diner, and with my roommate Sam Dak and I, shouting out if you watch this. He lived with me. He's a good coworker. He's a good friend, one of my best friends, and a coworker. And we lived together too. So we went to this local diner, and there's this guy named Alberto. He would always know what I wanted. He'd always know it's like number 12, and he would always know it's with home fries and not toast, no toast, and it's home fries, not hash browns. You know, it's like stuff like that just, you know, really feels like you're a part of that community.
Yeah,
you really
man.
feel, you know, and you know the chefs from smaller restaurants because they come out to greet you because they appreciate the patrons. That's the part that I really, really like too, because it feels good to be appreciated, and it's good to appreciate others. And when you're in these situations where you're helping a mom and pop shop out or something like that, and they appreciate you helping them out as you appreciate their attention and their love towards the product that you're getting, it just feels you know, a little more special.
No doubt. I think you know, we all want to be a part of something bigger, right? So I hear you on that. Now, this is like an extension of the question, but so
yeah,
would you feel like, are we more individuals or are we one as a whole, as people?
It depends. It really depends on the culture. I think in Asian culture, I think this is primarily for Asian culture. I think it's much more family oriented, right? And you should know, you know this. Your family's very family oriented, and we share things in terms of not just like food and share things. We share grief. We share, like, if one of us won the lottery, everybody would get money. And if one of us was sharing grief, everybody would pitch in to relieve you, not just of everyone would pitch in to take on the emotional stress and the emotional burden as well, not just the physical burden. I feel like that just shows for a lot more, I guess, Eastern cultures. Now, Western cultures, it's very good in terms of individualistic, I think, in this case. Like, I'll give you an example. At least in New York, we're very good at minding our own business, you know? And my mom, she was at her workplace and she was watering her flowers. And she noticed that her I guess, office mates' flowers were dying. And she went out of her way to go water her flowers, right? And the office coworker was very pissed off because it's like, why do you think you need to take care of my stuff, right? This is my stuff. Like, you have no business coming over and taking care of my shit. And I understand both sides, which is kind of the interesting thing, us being, you know, first generation. So I understand the side of, hey, look, this isn't your stuff. Why are you intruding in other people's business? But I also understand her perspective of like, hey, look, I saw something in need and I wanted to help out. That's all I wanted to do. There was no ill intention there, right? So I think for that question, it really depends on your personal philosophy, and it really depends on the culture that you grew up in. Because I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer in like, should it be more individualistic or should it be more community? Because there's pros and cons for both.
Yeah, I got you. That's interesting, man. Like, I know it's happened to me before where I felt like I was trying to help, but then people were like, why don't you just stay out of what we're doing or mind your own business? And so I can't recall a specific example, but I guess, I mean, for me, it'd make me think about like what the situation was and, you know, what am I trying to do? Cause like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like I can't think of a situation on the spot. Do you have a situation and to test me if I would jump in or mind my own business?
Let me think. I don't think so, but I can give you like a generalized one in terms of if a very close friend of mine were to have a personal issue, like they were having an issue with another friend, or they were having an issue with their family, or it was a very personalized thing that didn't involve me, but because I'm a friend and I treat them like a close friend to me, it's almost like it's my fault, or it's almost like it's my problem. You know, like I want to jump in on their behalf so that their life is easier, and I can just take the burden away from them by me handling it. Right. And maybe it's an older sibling thing, or maybe it's a community-based thought based on, you know, my Asian background, but who knows? But that's usually how I feel. And I've definitely been told to like, hey, look, you're not my brother. You know, you don't need to, or you're not my boyfriend, you're not my brother, you're not my boyfriend or whoever. Like, you don't need to insert yourself to that level. But a part of it I understand, and a part of it's like, I get it. I understand we don't have that same understanding of what you know, our relationship is in terms of, or at least my background and my thought process was not aligned with how they felt a friendship or a relationship needed to be.
Yeah, no, I've gotten that too, man. And it's weird, like now it's just like, well, I almost have to wait to be like asked to get involved or or for me to try to insert myself anymore. Like I'm very more so, let me mind my own business. And it's funny, one of the kids that I had worked with, there was a note, like we asked what strengths are, like what are your strengths? And she kind of said, I don't know what the word is, but I can mind my own business. And I don't know what word you use for that, but yeah, it just made me laugh. I was like,
she would work out great in New York. Everybody minds their own business in New York.
Yeah, maybe I should tell her.
I've seen so many homeless people just taking a shit in the back of a subway car. People just look at it, it's like, oh damn, look at that. Would you look at that? And nobody goes like, excuse me, sir, that's disgusting. Nobody says any of that. Nobody goes, all right, calm down. Everybody just goes, oh, all right, we're gonna move to the other car now. Like everybody's very mind your own business here in New York.
Very interesting, man. I've never been to New York, even though I feel like I've been influenced heavy by a lot of New York things. Definitely hip hop music from New York. more so than Bay Area hip hop, man, to be honest. And I always feel bad. I feel guilty. And like, I feel like when people hear this, they're gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy? But it's the truth. It's the truth. And like, I don't know. You remember Hey Arnold? That's how I imagine New York.
Yeah.
I imagine New York to be like that. Which borough is closest to like that Hey Arnold kind of feel of like, you know, they had a boarding house with apartments, and I don't know, they had the ice cream dude, the meat character, like public school
Shit.
around.
Easiest one is probably Queens, because Queens is or Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
For sure. Now
I
I
live
know
in
where.
Queens right now. Yeah. If you live in Manhattan, it's like everybody. It's where the influencers live, and you know, all the famous people. But if you live in Queens, it's pretty great. It's you really get the feel, but you also get your fun, but you also get your privacy, which is why I like parts of Queens.
Queens get the money, man. So
Yeah, come
all
on
about
out.
it.
Hey, if you want to come out, I'd be happy to host.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been to New
Come
York,
on out,
so
dude.
yeah. I'll let you know.
Be prepared for debauchery. I'll tell you that.
I got you. I'll be prepared, man. I'll hold you
Yeah.
to that. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
Well, bro, I gotta let you know we got about 10 minutes left in the podcast. We didn't even have to take the wheel. This conversation's just been rolling because I think, you know, we need a lot of time to catch up. But I wanted to thank you again for opening up, sharing your story, and I hope you've been having fun. It's been great on my end.
It's felt so natural. I have to say, I'm very, very happy about this.
For sure, man. Same here. Likewise.
Yeah.
But before we get out to the closeout questions, I want to do this exercise with you called the 34th mantra. You familiar with mantras? I feel like, you know, as an athlete, you might be.
Mantras, yes, but what's the 34th one?
So it's 3 phrases that I'd like you to fill in for yourself. It is: I am, I can, I will. I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. How would you fill that in for yourself?
Ooh. Wow. Okay. Do many other people start feeling cold sweats coming on?
I think not, man. I mean, honestly, I think you're the first one to actually like really feel this way about it. I'm very curious what you'd like to share.
All right, so
with us.
I am decisive.
I am decisive. Next one is I can.
I can work hard.
I can work hard. And then the last one is I will blank.
I will be spontaneous.
That chaos. I like it. All right, man. Well, if you ever need a reminder, now you got the sound bite of yourself, you know, to play back in your ear. That it's your words and who you are, what you can do, and what you will do. Thank you for participating. And,
of course.
You made it to the final stretch. My next question for you is going to be from my previous guest. So shout out to Miss Eyes. Miss Eyes' question for you is, are you ready to go deep? Like, you know, a lot of people like to stay shallow, but so from your experience, how many, like percentage wise, how many more people are staying shallow versus going deep with, like, in your life experience?
I think way more people prefer to stay shallow because, you know, it's very easy to live on the surface, right? You don't have to dig. It takes work to dig, you know? It takes work to think about yourself. And people don't like to do work. It's very easy to, like, you know, it's kind of like working out is hard, right? Look at all those people with 6-packs and all those things. That's difficult. You got to eat healthy. You got to. It's easy to eat cakes all day, man. So, like, no one's ever, like it's so. I think, you know, I would like to believe there's more people who try to work hard, but that's really not the case. I think that's why you find smart, powerful, great individuals And that's the difference between them and the others. And if everybody was that you wouldn't call them individuals anymore. You would it'd just be the norm. But I think, when you find someone refreshing and who's willing to be introspective and is willing to give very, I guess, reflective answers on how they feel about themselves in the world, it's really refreshing to see. And I wish more people had that. I think a decent amount, but I wouldn't say everybody, at least not yet.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I mean, I think this is why, like, I try to invite people onto here and kind of give that space, try to make people comfortable to just, let their mind, wander. The reason why this podcast came up for me, man, because I know you don't know, but I've had like 15 jobs in 15 different companies, industries, doing all sorts of things. But I'm that guy at work asking people, like, what would you rather be doing if you weren't here? What's your dream? What's your ambition and stuff? So, as far as like having that conversation with folks, it's been easier for me because I've done it at the workplace where I think I could build those relationships and have these conversations. But I've tried to have these conversations at parties and clubs. Nobody wants to talk about this shit that I found. And for me, that's what closed me off for so long, was like, nobody wants to talk about what I want to talk about, so maybe I should never really bring it up. That's another reason, like, I guess for me too.
You need people to think like that, though. You need people to think, because there's all these people that can just do like, oh, I can do my 9-to-5 job, go home and just rinse and repeat, right? But these are the people who make a good paycheck and just live a mundane life freely, because they don't need to think innovatively. They don't need to think differently. And not everybody thinks this way, right? But not everyone's equally not as successful. So, but it takes those people to think differently in order to be great, right? Only the people who think like that can do great things. And that's why I appreciate this podcast, because you allow yourself the opportunity to do great things by thinking this way. Because if you don't do it and you don't think that way, you can always do okay, but you'll never be great. But by thinking this way, you give yourself the opportunity to reach the levels of greatness, or to do something different. And to think differently is always the way to go. Really is.
Yeah, man, I never really thought about that, but I appreciate that perspective, because it makes me feel better about it for sure. And maybe that's, part of my story, part of my life story, is to have all these experiences, different jobs, and for me to come to this point of like, well, that stuff isn't for me, and I have to create a lane for myself. But yeah, when I re-listen to this, I'm sure it's gonna hit even harder. But thank you for those kind words, man.
Yeah.
And then my next question for you, second to last question, is
let's do it.
What would you like to ask the next guest that comes on to 34 Questions? You could keep it light, or you can go heavy, man. It's all up to you.
Oh yeah, I already thought about this one.
Oh, nice.
For the next guest, it's like, think about one thing you've always wanted to do. Why haven't you done it yet?
Okay.
Because I ask myself that all the time, right? It's like, what have you wanted to do? Like, some people are like, oh, I want to go skydiving, or I want to go something simple, right? And sometimes it could be money. Sometimes it could be a lot of things, right? But at the end of the day, it's almost always due to laziness.
My greatest nemesis, bruh, is my laziness. But
and complacency, really. Complacency and laziness.
Ooh. Yeah. Those words run deep for me, man. But I'm hoping to get, to grow and overcome those things. But I guess I'm justifying myself by saying, oh, it's balance. It's a balance. Like, there's gonna be days when I work really hard.
I'm guilty about it myself. I'm like, shit. Sometimes I just want to just go drink or go smoke or go walk around and just not do anything that I should be doing.
Yeah. I'm trying to turn that tide in that battle for myself. But for sure, I got you. That's a good question. And my last question for you, the question that ties everything together, is 100 years from now, maybe your great grandchildren are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
don't forget where you came from. Yeah,
Jordan's-
always remember your roots. I think that's one thing, and the premise is my mother has always told me that, and I like to believe that in the future, I think it's very easy, because that'd be what I tell my kids too. And sorry, I'll keep this very brief, but
You're fine.
you know this. We both come from pretty humble beginnings, and one day, if we were to have children and we're doing all right, and they get to grow up with things that we never have to think about, or that we did without, right? We thought we had to fight through a lot of adversity, really, in terms of just monetary things or just physical things that we never got to have, or experiences we never got to have that they may have to. But no matter how much money you make or how many experiences you get to experience, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget your roots, that your parents, you had to walk on the backbone of your parents to get to nicer things, and they had to do the same. So keep yourself grounded. I would tell the future generation to do the same, and every generation after that. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, we didn't even get a chance to talk about your experience moving back to China for 3 years. And that's something for me. It's like, holy crap, you did that. And that's great. I mean, I think it really keeps you, I don't know. Do you feel like those roots are still there for you? Because I struggle with that all the time, man. Like thinking, am I more Filipino than American, or more American than Filipino? Because, yeah, as far as roots go, I'm kind of all over the place. Like, do you feel your roots are still strong?
I think so. Or at least I try to keep it that way. And I think the big thing is just like make sure that in the future, when things are going really well, you don't forget about the times that things were not going as well, and you just for example, if I came into money, I would not spend lavishly to a point where it's just ridiculous, right? But also remember that we struggled at one point, so don't go overboard. And I feel like a lot of people don't have that grasp, because the delta is too great, right? Like if you came from nothing, and why do you think all those NBA players lost all that money? Like Allen Iverson's broke as hell, right? And it's because he came from nothing, and when he got all that money, he didn't realize how to manage it because the delta was too great, and then he just splurged. And so part of me is just like keep yourself grounded, man. And so that I hope the next generation would learn that too. Just like know where your roots came from, know your parents, know your culture. Boom, boom, boom.
Nice. That was a great way to end that phrase. Any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here?
No, man. Just thank you for doing this. This has really been a lot of fun. Like it's fun to look at yourself. It's fun to hear from you, and I'm excited to hear what the next person after me is going to say, and how they're going to answer my question, or how they're going to answer your questions. So it'll be really cool.
For sure, man. I want to thank you again for stopping by. We'll definitely talk off camera, be connecting once again. Want to thank all the folks out there. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube, appreciate y'all as well. Remember,
I got one thing to say.
Oh, go for it.
Zito, Baca, Benny, let's see, Jasmine, Nicole, Shannon.
And are you name dropping everybody? Go ahead, go.
Hey, I'm calling you guys out. Do this. Dude, I want to see you guys do this. Who else do we got? Kimberly.
Yeah.
I remember all of y'all. Charles, get on this.
All right.
I'm calling y'all. I want to see this. I want to see this from all the SFB folks.
Right on, man. I think they're gonna be juiced to see you. Check out Sean if you guys haven't. Mr. Mangles. Check him out. But yeah, now you heard it from Perry himself. I want y'all to get on here. It's good to reconnect, and yeah. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love, and we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace. All right, man. It kind of fades out from there.